Okay, Rich, just get into how you actually do it. You tell me that you play tracks differently and you did exotic mug bets.
Yeah, so Betfair was going well. Um, yeah, sort of came about. I had a few tracks that I was playing at the time for different reasons. I had different ways of playing them. I had Crayford, Walthamstow, Sunderland, and I'll play them in different ways because I could see who was the better quality of judges, really, if I'm honest. It was simple as that. Walthamstow, the best dogs, it was the best racing, the best people were there, and what you do there is I'll play very reactive. I play like I did at Pompey there because Pompey was a vibrant market as well. People knew what they were doing. I'd let them bash the market about, and right at the end, what looks too big, what's the wrong bet? I'll have a little bit on that and a little bit on that. And your strike rate's not particularly high because you're not proactive in picking what you think is going to win, but inevitably you're nicking the value at the end, right at the end. You leave it on Betfair, you could do the same as what you did with the bookies. You could just leave a price there. If it got taken, good on you. If it didn't get taken, no problem with me. Take it or leave it. I know I want a big price for that. And eventually you'd get it because Walthamstow, they'd smash into the first couple in the market, but they were better than that. They'd steal back the third and the fourth in the market. And the racing was so good then, you could bet on trust. You could even bet the sixth in the market and they'd come in now and again. Not so much like these days, but let's not go into that. Crayford was a very volatile track. I know most people don't like it, but the weather came in there. Anything could sort of happen. Again, judges pretty good. You've got to work hard. You can stay up late at night and find extra things they're not going to find to have a bit of a chance. You play a bit more proactive there as well, though. But Sunderland, on the other hand, don't want to get into a north-south divide here, but Sunderland, no, they weren't anywhere close to the level of the Southern boys. Not a chance in a million years. Second favourite, ABC. They had nothing. And there I was proactive as you like. I'd just go in and just have what I wanted, first, I knew what was going to happen. I mean, then was around that sort of time as well, there was one of the main trainers at the track. He was renowned. They used to punt these dogs in from all sorts down the odds on, sheep involved, stupid really, but of course there was a lot to come of that. But I could see what they were going to do before they even think about doing it. It was so obvious what they were going to do all the time, and I'd just play it how I wanted to play it. Plus the biases at Sunderland, there was pre-drainage. They never used to react to even a bias. I mean, it's, the very rare time you'd have biases down on some of the southern tracks, the bookies and people like that, they would act quick. You get 3 races and they go, it's raining, it's gone wide at Hove, or it's gone wide at Walthamstow or whatever. Very rare, but it would be acted upon immediately because the right people were there. These sort of tracks, Sunderland then was in my opinion a poor level, but I loved it. Don't take it derogatory. I loved it, and I loved how I could play it. The thing was, going back again, I like playing these dodge pots to come second and third and play the forecast and try-cards. You couldn't do that on Betfair, so I'd go in the bookies and I'll be betting these dodge pots to come second. Now this was around the time, early in my career, this was the time of Hot Jewels at Swindon, best one I've ever seen by a mile. If I'm going to have pictures on my wall, Westmead Hawk and some picture, I want Hot Jewels up there. It mattered to me just as much. And Rycott Honcho was at Monmore, same time, so different meetings, but they always run on the same day. Those bags meetings were running side by side some days. So I used to go in and play little stuff, 3-4 quids, second to the field, Hot Jewel second to the field, Rycott Honcho second to the field, forecast doubles. 25 forecast doubles, stuff like that, or trim it down, have my jackpot scenario. Plus, if they were going to come second, what's the trio? You go back to Pompey days, I wasn't betting 20p's on 3-1 shots when we were down there as kids. We were picking trios because we wanted the big dividends off the 20p's. So we were reading every race for a trio. I still do now. Every race I'm reading it top to bottom. It's not just, that'll lead up, that'll win, that's it. No, I'm reading the whole race. I'm reading what's going to happen at the drop. I've always been like that. I'm watching what's happening at the drop. If a dog goes past 6 clear, you don't watch it go around to the drop. You start looking left, see what's going on behind, picking up all your information. So very easy for me to read races. I know it sounds a bit arrogant, but yeah, it was a piece of cake. So especially when you got dodge pots of this quality, you knew what they were going to do. So if there was 3 dogs that got a lead and you got Hot Jewels is going to smash them, it's going to ruin them. They're going to throw in the towel, is him harassing them sort of thing. And you got the 2 stayers come through, or the slugs, and you'd get 100-to-1 trios all day long, and they, so much juice. So they weren't mug bets. I mean, Hot Jewels was going off 7-8-to-1 every week because really didn't want to win. He never hardly did win. And I think the on-course bookies were playing the same game as me. Certainly at the end they were pushing it out because the dividends were coming in 30, 40 to 1 on this forecast. He was going to be second every week. He was second 7 times in a row once, I think, something like that, 7, 8 times. Well, the double with Raikot Honcho, just the same. Raikot Honcho was giant prices, playing them in the trios and stuff as well. And you only got to get these sort of quid forecast doubles in. You get monkeys, you're getting grands. Well, for many years, I'm making my basic wage. I'm getting a couple of grand a month out of just the dodges. Just the dodges. Nothing to do with Betfair, nothing to do with that, nothing to do with my little plays like nicking a grand out of there, nicking a grand out of there. You know, I can make 3-4 grand a month with, you know, piece of cake. You know, so anyone who says, oh, you can't do this, it's so hard to beat the pro. No, you just use, you know, if your skill set is high enough, you could do it. Plus, the bookies always pay with a smile back then because he's doing nothing wrong. It's SP. He's betting like no slips are over 50. He's putting 6 bets through in the morning. He's buggering off, doing all these type of things. And of course, keeping your sanity in this game is really important. So if I was going out, I might go and put like a £2 lucky 15 on 4 dogs that I would have backed if I was home on Betfair, but I had to go out. If all 4 won, okay, I'm not in control of any price there or anything like that. But if all 4 won, okay, you won 800 quid off it. It's okay. If I was at home, I'd have won bloody 2-3 grand, but I got something. Keeping that sanity the whole time was ultimate because I know how mad I'd go if I made a mistake. So I had to, you know, make sure I was on top of it. So all these mug bets, these so-called mug bets, again, you can just kid them and turn it on their head. They're not mug bets at all. The amount of juice you're getting in them is absolutely horrendous.
Oh, well, horrendous for the bookies, maybe, not you. Tell us about Kidology.
Well, I've never heard of the word. There is a word. I've never heard of that word until Harry Findlay said it to me. Now, I don't even know Harry Findlay, really, if I'm honest. I met him like 3 times in my life. But nevertheless, he did say it. And, you know, all credit where it's due. What it was around the time Harry had Coventry. Harry's very good friends with all the load of the Portsmouth guys, the old Portsmouth regulars and stuff like that. You know, they're all his good mates. And one of, you know, mutual friend Grant, who I, you know his dad and everything, know his brother and stuff. Grant was helping Harry out at Coventry, going up driving every meeting up from Portsmouth to Coventry and back. He was doing it nearly all the time, or you know, staying up there sometimes. But I bumped into the bookies or whatever, and he said, "Oh, you should come up there. Racing's so good." And I said, "Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I will come up." And one night the racing was good. We went up there, and it was like going to a Derby final. It was like there was an amount of hardcore greyhound guys up there you wouldn't see unless you went to the Derby final or back in Pompey days. You know, everyone from around the country went really, and it was brilliant. And afterwards, we went for like a Chinese or whatever before we went home, and there was a load of people there I don't know as well. And Harry's paid for everyone. You know, all the Chinese, all the beers, paid for everyone. Well, I don't know him, and I felt a bit like. Grant, hang on, you know, like, can I pay my bit? You know, it's not how I roll, you know, don't want to take libos. I'm sure Harry's had a load of freeloaders off him in his life. But he said, no, he's had a big win today, he's good like that, he's generous, he always loves doing it. And I said, yeah, even still, you know, I'm a bit uncomfortable. He said, listen, don't worry about that. When you come up again, just give him a tip. So he loves that. He said he loved that more than you paying for your Chinese. I went, you know, that's fair enough, I can live with that. So, not too distant future, I suppose. We went up there again. I didn't forget. I thought, yeah, I'll find a nice bet and I'll let him have that bet. And it was a 6-pen race. Favourite was odds on, had to lead, but wasn't guaranteed a lead really. And also there was a season bitch in the race, typical me. Bang out of season. Pre-season she would have beat the favourite on merit, easy anyway. The weights were right, everything was sort of right. And she had outs, stays on, you know, anyone who knows me know what I'm talking about. 5 to 1. Great bet at the price. You know, not saying you're going to win. You never say that in you ever, but great bet. Should have been after price, 5 to 1. So anyway, we get to the track and Grant's coming up to see Harry in the office or whatever, and he says, you got that bet for Harry, have you? I said, yeah, in the 6-pen race, the 4 bitch. He went, what price is that? I went 5 to 1, you might get 11 to 2. He went, you silly F. He goes, you can't give him that. He's going to have 10 grand on. He won't be able to get on that. He needs like even money shot. I'm like, well, I ain't got that. So you bugger it. You know what I mean? That's you know, forget it. So anyway, obviously didn't give it to him. So sure enough, after we were back in the curry house, Chinese I think it was, and Grant goes, oh, Rich backed the 4 in that 6-pen race. and he was going to give it to you, and he went, all right, well, he can pay for the Chinese then. I thought, for Christ, well done, Grant. There's like 7 guys out I don't never meet again in my life, and I'm thinking I've got to pay for everyone's Chinese now. I'm trying to do a good turn for someone, you know what I mean? So it's quite funny, but I think Harry paid half the Chinese, so he's a good egg, and he didn't make me pay it all. But as it comes back to, this was this night. So we just started chatting, and Grant was saying, I don't know how he gets away with it. We're all banned from the bookies, and he's not banned, and he's still copping it in there. And I just told Harry roughly what I was doing, what style of bets I was doing, and things like that. At first you say intimidated. I wasn't intimidated, but I'm talking to someone who sort of, to me, he bets in telephone numbers compared to what I'm betting in, and I'm telling him I'm betting these little bets for 20 and 30 quids and stuff like that. But he went, that's Kidology, and I went, sort of taken aback. He went, yeah. He goes, I really love all that sort of stuff. It's clever. I'm into it myself. And I thought, yeah, actually, I'm really surprised. He's the first person who's ever sort of worked out what I was doing. And there was a word for it. So I went to check that word, and it was right. It was what I was doing was that. It was like sort of a deception or a cunning and trying to make them think I'm not doing what I'm really doing. I'm just looking like I'm just normal punter, whereas really I'm obviously winning. And it was what I was doing. So full respect to him, because I ain't spoke to many people in my life who I've told them roughly what I'm doing, and they immediately cottoned on what I'm doing. But he did. So fair play. And I have success in the future with other things, because if you want someone involved in ground racing, you want him involved.
Right, Rich, you were talking to me before about the 2008 recession and changes you noticed. What were they?
Well, a lot. I mean, let's think back already. It's, I was learning on the job pre-recession. Again, right time, right place. I don't really believe in luck, but you take advantage of the opportunity that are coming for you. When I was 25 doing nothing, I took a chance to do punting. It was, if I had a wife and kids at the time and a mortgage, it wouldn't have happened, would it? It's just happened to be, age and the time, same as the older guys in the from the 80s, they got a different outlook to dogs that I have. What I noticed the most really was obviously the loose money dried up, the credit cards and things like that. We were in a reckless time. You could go get a mortgage and get a $2,000 cash back. It was such stupid time. But all the credit card punters, all the guys on the machines, they've started drying up a little bit. And I think the bookies, in my head, I'm not saying it happened, but this is my opinion, I just think there was some sort of board meeting and they're like, right, what are we doing on everything else? We're dog racing, we're taking a bit of a hit. That was the era when we had the troops going in the shops, people with earphones. Some were arbing, some were sending out dogs and backing opening shows and all sorts of stuff. It was, it was fair enough. They were getting away with it probably during the recession because the bookies just get so much money in. But inevitably, I think, right, well, what are we going to do? Well, they know what they're doing, these boys. They're good judges. If you give them good dogs and a level track, they're hard work to beat. Okay, well, let's not give them a level track. And I've heard the word canine roulette. I didn't invent that. I've heard it. And I've heard it from a couple of people inside the industry. And I totally agree with it. I just think they thought, don't give them a level track. Let's try and beat them that way. It's so short-sighted to what it's done to ground racing. But I believe that was certainly up there on the list of trying to get people beat. Of course, then what you had is the guys that were having 400s on 6-4 shots and monkeys at 2s now going off evens. They're banned. You're not allowed to bet in here anymore. And all of a sudden, I'm sort of dwindling down that I ain't got no one really to hide behind either. So, but thankfully, the type of bets I was doing, I was still getting away, still getting longevity out of it because they were quite happy to take these bets. But what I noticed the most was actually the grounds. Because obviously what I just said, I think they were trying to make canine roulette. I could not keep up with all my manual highlighter pens and calendars and doing each track and all this sort of stuff. Couldn't keep up, bamboozled, I was gone. Because what I was seeing was like the start of the meeting be different from the end of the meeting. The Saturday morning be different from the Saturday night. I couldn't keep up, I was gone. I had a real tight running ship, I had all this real work ethic and I was doing it right and I couldn't keep up. And everyone was suffering in all different ways, people were having to adapt and I just thought, well, I need software now. There was software around, there's been software around a long time, but it wasn't quite how I wanted it. And I just thought, well, this is impossible to do manually now. So I've got to go that way. I've got to do it.